New Super Mario Bros. Wii is your pretty typical 2D platformer. You run, you jump, you save the princess, you kill the fat turtle, yada yada yada. What I think really sets New Super Mario Bros. Wii apart from its counterparts is the incredibly unique boss fights. For the first time in 2D Mario, we actually have a collection of insanely unique and fun boss fights that aren't just Bowser or the Koopalings, and they're such a blast to play against. So today I'll be ranking every boss fight in New Super Mario Bros. From what I believe is the least fun to most fun. This is totally my opinion, and without further ado, let's get started. Number 10, Bowser 1. The World 1 Bowser boss fight is just as boring as it gets. You literally just jump over him and hit a switch like it's Super Mario Bros. In 1985. But dumbed down even more so a premature baby could even be able to beat it. The worst part is, you can literally just damage boost right through him. It's such a lackluster way to introduce Bowser into this great game. Number 9, Bowser Jr. Now, I was debating whether or not to actually include B-Junes on this list since you technically fight him 11 times, so I'll really just sum him up in this one entry. So all you really do, jump on him 3 times, blast him with fire, or ground pound him. It's pretty lame, but I cut slack for a mini-boss. I also appreciate how Nintendo innovates it by making him progressively more difficult, by either having him close his shell so you can't jump over him, or him throwing Koopa shells at you that you need to reflect back. By the end of the game, it actually turns out to be a pretty enjoyable boss fight, since it's just a nice change of pace, and just an overall decent mini-boss. Number 8, Bowser Final. Alright, Nintendo really just dropped the ball with Bowser in this game. The final boss is pretty much a reenactment of the first Bowser boss fight, except you need to fight Bowser Jr. at the same time and that you can't damage boost. It's probably one of the lamest final bosses in Mario history, if not the lamest. At least this time, you can actually have to use a little bit of skill, but based off all the other wacky and cool bosses that take up the rest of the list, I was expecting so much better for the final boss. Number 7, Dry Bowser. Enough of the lame Bowser battles, Nintendo. This is literally just Bowser again, but this time he throws bones at you, kinda like the hammers he throws in the original Super Mario Bros. From 1985. This game came out 20 years later, let me remind you. At least Dry Bowser has a pretty cool design, but it's still just lazy and a lame-ass boss fight. I promise, from this point on, all the boss fights are bangers, and Bowser's just been completely cut. Number 6, Cheap Skipper. Finally, a real boss fight for real men. And women, of course. Here at Smoools Industries, we acknowledge that the ladies love a little bit of the Mario sauce. Okay, that came out a little bit weird. But we got a big dumb fat ass fish here, and it's actually a pretty fun boss fight since Nintendo took a, get this, water boss fight and took it out of the water. What I mean is, water levels suck, and Nintendo doesn't even force you to go underwater to fight Cheap Skipper. You get to stay on dry land. Basically, you're just barraged with Cheeps, and sometimes the big man himself will come flying by and you need to try and lay a boot on his slippery little head. And when I say slippery, I mean it. It can sometimes be pretty difficult to properly time your jump since it moves so spastically and floppy. It's a really fun fight. Number 5, Petey Piranha. God damn, they actually brought Petey back to the mainline Mario series. Since his appearance in Super Mario Sunshine, Petey has been a pretty iconic character in the franchise, and his transition into a 2D game actually works a lot better than I thought it would. It is pretty weird that he's the boss of World 5, the Snow and Ice world, but if anything, it just makes it more fun since you're slipping and sliding around. The boss fight is decently simple. He flies around, every once in a while he will pounce on you, and you have to use that moment of vulnerability to strike. What I like about this boss fight is a gimmick used for only one other boss fight in the game. The challenge of beating the boss as Mini Mario. For access to both World 4 and World 7, you need to take on the challenge of defeating the World 2 and World 5 bosses respectively with Mini Mario, and it just makes for a fun challenge, you know? Number 4, Mega Goomba. I don't know why, but the Mega Goomba boss has always just been so satisfying to me. Like, it's literally just a giant Goomba, but you hit it in the noggin and it bounces like You're even provided a bunch of little elevators to get high enough to thump the memory foam pillow on his skull. But cool kids like me prefer to wall jump on top of his cranium. Okay, so I'm running out of ways to say head, but the moral of the story is boyoyoing. Number 3, Lack of Thunder. Lack of Thunder is another perfect example of Nintendo modifying a pretty generic enemy and making them into a very interesting boss fight. Lack of Thunder is pretty much just your average Lakitu, but he's like an evolved form or something, because he has the ability to strike lightning from his cloud, which definitely sounds pretty simple in concept, and it is, but it's actually really fun when you actually play it. Every once in a while he'll swoop down, and that's your chance to strike and bob him in the head. As a kid, this boss fight was completely revolutionary to me because it's just such a simple concept that's so fun. Which I guess really is the line that most Mario games can go off of. Simple but amazing. Number 2, Mummy Pokey. Mama Pokey has always been one of my favorite bosses for once again being so simple yet so immersive and a fun experience. Mama Pokey will keep digging around the stage and popping up in different size increments, and every once in a while he'll pop up at his full height, and that's when he freezes for a second to launch an attack, which is your chance to bump him on the noggin. His head is so high up though that you'll need a running start for your jump to reach him, or you'll have to do like a wall jump or something fancy. And there's nothing more satisfying than hitting him in one of those intervals where he's only up for a few split seconds. It's just so fulfilling to get that. You feel like you just like skipped an entire world or something. This is also the only other boss fight that rewards you for completing it as Mini Mario, and this one is especially fun since you get to bounce all over the room as a teeny little Mario as you wait for your chance to strike. Definitely quite a fun boss fight, if I do say so myself. Number 1, Monty Tank. Monty Tank has always and will always be the best fighter in this game. I mean, it's your boy Monty Molerat and a freaking M1 Abrams, and he ain't playing games. It's one of the most unique boss fights in the entire franchise, even to this day. The main gist of the boss fight is clambering onto the tank and hitting Monty on the head a handful of times, but every time you hit him, he adds another layer to the tank, so more projectiles get shot at you, and it's hard to climb all the way up and hit him on the head. It's truly an incredibly memorable and fun boss fight, and it's just a nice platforming challenge overall, and I always have a soft spot for these boss fights that include platforming challenges instead of like an actual fight. I don't know. I guess it just speaks to me more. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to see me rank other boss fights, leave a like, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.